So, welcome back. So, I am Eunice Virgin, and I'm an LCSW, a licensed clinical social worker, psychotherapist with Healthy Bump Club. And today we have an interesting topic that I know it's going to garner a lot of attention because it's something that, as mothers and as women that are possibly experiencing postpartum, we had a baby, or are expecting and soon will be having a baby, it's a conversation that some are having and have had. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about snapback culture and how toxic it can be, especially in the last 5 years where social media has just dominated our lives. So, what am I talking about? What about snapback? I know you ladies have heard this term. It's very popular, especially amongst influencers and celebrities. So, snapback culture, really started to gain momentum, when social media took off, about 10 years, 10 plus years, on Facebook, and especially when Instagram became a real popular uh, platform. And what you started to see is just a lot of women, experiencing this societal pressure of gaining their pre-baby bodies back immediately after giving birth, especially women like with some type of celebrity background, or they were some influencers started posting pictures of like their pre-baby weight or what their bodies look like and then post. It was really like a phenomenon that was being, perpetuated by other moms and other women, and this culture of like really encouraging women to like snap back and posting images that, for whatever reason, these women felt compelled to show what their bodies had done and how quickly they had regained their pre-baby body. But for a lot of women, that is not the case. And let's keep it real. Snapback culture is also really predominant on social media platforms, and a lot of those images are altered and they're airbrushed. So a lot of these women were perceiving these, images that perhaps, weren't accurate, weren't really depicting what that body was really looking like, but for the sake of likes and gaining, popularity, these women were posting these images of their bodies looking like they never had a baby. And for some, disclaimer, for some women, that is the case. Their bodies are going to snap back. But for a lot of other women, that's not the case. And what women started to, experience, and I remember because I was pregnant about 6 years ago, over 6 years ago, like 6.5, almost 7. I remember seeing images around that time on social media of women giving birth, and within like 2-3 months they were back to like their skinny jeans and back to their two-piece bathing suit. And for a lot of us, it didn't make sense how we were supposed to regain our body and give the attention and give all the nurturing and love to this new human, this new being, and still find the time to focus, to regain our pre-baby weight, to give ourselves that self-care and to go back to the gym. And, as a new mom, your whole world changes. Your schedule is so chaotic. You're trying to learn how to put, your baby on a sleeping schedule. If you're breastfeeding, like, let's not even go there. Like, that's a whole other task, right? So snapback culture, ultimately, in my professional opinion, is very psychologically damaging and can create a lot of unrealistic expectations for women that can lead them on a path of developing a postpartum depression and anxiety, because they're putting very unrealistic and they're being very critical on their bodies. They're telling themselves things that are not rooted in loving yourself and building confidence and acceptance. Really, the key here is acceptance that your body might not ever go back to what it was pre-baby. So I think society has a responsibility, especially women in positions of power, celebrities and influencers, who think, this image that they've altered and they're sharing with the world, is not going to have ramifications. Like, it's not going to have like negative outcomes, because a lot of women nowadays are pushing themselves and wanting that post baby body to happen overnight. And the case is that it's not going to happen. So I was doing some research and I was reading, because as a mother and as a clinician, I know that you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not happy with the way that you look, that is acceptable. I can own that. And I can agree that, hey, I'm not happy with the way that my post baby body looks. Okay, so what are some healthy ways? What are some ways that I can start to dedicate some time to myself to start regaining some of my, you know, prior activities, whether it be go back to the gym, whether it be I'm taking my yoga classes, my Zumba classes, I'm doing my Pilates again, or I'm going hiking, or I'm going running in the morning, or doing my 5K or whatever, half a marathon. Like, I'm all for women caring for themselves and managing motherhood, but also prioritizing their self-care and their emotional wellness, and really through exercise. I think that exercise is key in helping you stay grounded, protecting you from possibly developing a mental disorder, because we know that studies have shown that major depressive disorder could really be affected by the lack of exercise, not getting enough vitamin D. There's a lot of factors into play, but definitely exercising and being out in nature in the sun is a great safeguard from developing a serious disorder such as the one I just mentioned. So I'm all for women doing exercise and carving the time. But what are some healthy ways that we can do that without having this unrealistic expectation of snapping back in 6 to 8 weeks? I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to call anybody out. But recently, there was a public figure on social media just last week. She just gave birth like 2 weeks ago, or like 2 weeks ago. And last week, she posted an image of, well, her fiance or her partner posted a picture and like referenced it like snapback, or like he said something to the effect like, wow, baby, look how good you look after you just gave birth. Like, in my mind, I was cringing because she didn't even post it. Like, her partner posted this, and in all a good gesture, and I know he meant well, but the fact that that kind of image being posted on social media with millions of followers, because this person has millions of followers, and then it just being reposted, and then blogs posting about it, it is just, to me, a red flag, and it's very dangerous because so many women who are currently expecting, or who perhaps just gave birth the same week this woman did, right? Because I'm sure hundreds of thousands of women give birth every day. Like, they're thinking and they're looking at themselves like, oh, we had a baby at the same time 2 weeks ago, and I don't look like that. Do you know how crushing that could feel for someone's self-esteem? Do you know how debilitating that could make a new mother feel? Like, I was talking to another mom blogger who has a huge following. I'm not going to put her on, I'm not going to disclose who, but she has a huge one of the Black mom blogs. And she responded to me, and we were talking on social media, we were having a conversation. And she said how upset and how sad she was about this image being, put out there by the man, and how it kept getting reposted. And I just kept telling her, like, I just worry about her mental health and other people's mental health. Like, what is this telling women? Like, what kind of hidden messages is it sending to women? And she said exact the same thing that I was saying. Like, she's like, yeah, like, it makes me so angry that we celebrate this kind of like snapback culture when it could be so damaging for so many women that don't have the ability or don't have the resources. Because another thing a lot of folks don't talk about, a lot of these women give birth today, and then like within a day or even the same, like the next day, they're having plastic surgery, and they're not going to disclose that to us. They're not going to tell us. It's not our business. They don't need to. But the truth is that we don't know how they achieved this. Was it genetics? Was it, they just probably, had a rigorous workout method before, and, body muscle remembers, and, they snap back. But for so many of us who didn't snap back, I didn't snap back. It took me months to lose my 23 pounds that I gained during my pregnancy. And that wasn't a lot of weight, but forever, I felt very uncomfortable. Another thing that this article that I want to reference, I read an article on Self Magazine about a fitness trainer who had a hard time after giving birth because she didn't snap back right away. And she talks about the damages that snapback culture has on women in our society, especially American society, right? Because we're so vain here, and the things that we, put like as a priority. Like she thought that because she did have this, history, and she had this training as a physical trainer, and she had done, all this exercise in her past, and she was in tip top shape, that she would have no issue snapping back. And because she didn't snap back, she didn't realize like how sad she was and how angry and how jealous she would get when she would see other women posting these snapback photos, and so many women celebrating her, and giving them big ups and blah blah blah. But to the point to where she started to really feel like she was starting to become depressed, and she had to check in with a mental health professional and just talk about it. And after she did some self realization, and she's analyzed, and she came to the conclusion that that there was unrealistic expectations she had put on herself because of her background, and that she really needed to sit with that and process that loss. And she gave 5 recommendations that I think are just super like helpful, and I hope that this can resonate for you and you can jot these down. So after just reading her article, I found it super interesting, and here are my takeaways. Here are 5 things that I think that women, especially mothers who are just given birth, who are experiencing some baby blues, or feeling insecure about their bodies, or are not feeling confident, and are feeling like they're not where they need to be, give yourself some grace. According to the article on Self, the takeaway for me was these 5 points that I think are really helpful and I want to share with you. The first tip is to grieve the loss of your previous body. What does that mean? What does that look like? Accepting that your body might not ever be the way that it was. If you get emotional and you cry and you feel angry, allowing yourself to feel those emotions and sitting with those emotions, grieving the past body that is probably not going to be the same body. It's going to be a different body, but not the same body. And I think that's really important. So grieving the old body that you once had, and what does that look like? What is that new body going to look like now? And how are you going to work with what you got? And part of that grief and loss is like giving yourself grace, like being kind to your body, not talking down to your body, being very careful how you describe your body to other people, and when you're talking to yourself, like your inner dialogue. That's key. The second thing that I think it's really, really great advice, appreciate your new body and what it is doing. Like the beauty of the fact that your body brought forth life, and all of the changes that went into to create this life, and how resilient and how powerful and how strong your body is, that it's still carrying your baby through the 4th trimester after giving birth, the breastfeeding, the everything that's happening. So especially if you're breastfeeding full time, or just that's the only nourishment that you're giving your child, if you're not giving your baby formula, if you're not supplementing, the fact that your body is doing this, like celebrate that and like acknowledge that, like, whoa, like maybe my body's not the old body that I once loved, but this new body is super dope. This new body is doing a lot of miraculous things, and I love that about my new body. And like honoring your new body and celebrating your new body, even if it's not where you want it to be or doesn't look the way you want it to look like, but just giving yourself that space to just honor your body and appreciate all its greatness. And the third thing that I think is really important is like filter who you follow on social media. Like if you're following people who post content that doesn't sit well with you, especially postpartum, like if you're following moms and influencers that, are really celebrating and kind of like glamorizing this snapback culture, or they're posting images about themselves, that makes you feel insecure, unfollow them. For your mental health and for your emotional well-being, you have to filter what you follow and what kind of information you take in, because that type of stuff really sits on the back of our minds, like in our subconscious, and it's not healthy, especially if you're feeling very emotional postpartum. You're very emotional, your hormones are adjusting, you're going through all these hormonal changes, and the last thing you want is to be following and looking at content that is constantly triggering you. Like, you're doing yourself a disservice, like you're really punishing yourself. So definitely filter your content, and part of that is like, follow people that make you feel good. Follow people, and people that are like-minded, people that are sharing their vulnerability, people that are talking about their journey postpartum, people that are sharing how difficult it's been for them, or how everything it's not what it's meant to look like, or how smoking mirrors. Everybody is, a lot of people are just fronting online. They're capping. So like, it is what it is, but like, be aware of that. Like, not everything you see on social media is real, and ask yourself this question: why did she post that? What is this post doing for her? What's the reason why she posted this image that is airbrushed, that is filtered? Like, what does it do for her? Lastly, I think it's important that you create like healthy boundaries. And sometimes that looks like advocating for yourself and like asking for help. Like, if you're a new mom, and if you have a partner, if you have an extended family or support system, friends, like, maybe you ask for an additional 30 minutes a week, or an additional hour a week to go work out, to go to this yoga class that you can take on Sunday mornings. Maybe you call your best friend and you ask her, to bring you some food or cook you some food, or you ask your mother-in-law or your sister-in-law, can you wash the laundry for me while I go do this? Like, it's okay to take up space, moms. It's okay to ask for things. It's okay to not feel like you have to be there 24/7 and you have to neglect yourself for the first 6 months. I'm not saying that it's not going to require you to be fully present with your baby in the beginning, but still know that you are entitled and you deserve to have some self-care and some alone time to work on yourself and work on your body. And once you're medically clear, right? Medically clear, consult with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. Consult with your doctor when you have the green light to move forward with exercising, but definitely make the time for that, because that's going to also help you feel better. And nutrition, consult with the nutritionist. Like, what are the best types of foods that I should be eating postpartum to help me snap back? Right, and just teasing, but to get back to where you want to be, or this new goal that you set for your body. Certain proteins, certain foods you should be abstaining from, sugar, refined sugars, processed foods, things like that are not going to be healthy for your body or for your mind, or for your mental health. Sugar can really create a lot of anxiety for a lot of folks, caffeine. So just really like eating healthy and eating foods that are going to be nutritional for you are really important. So I hope that this information has been helpful, and just like I said, give yourself some grace. Your body just went through like the most dopest, miraculous thing ever. You just created life and you're sustaining life. So like, give yourself like a pat on the back, and like, it's going to be okay, and know that you got this. And not everything you see on social media is real, and like, snapback culture is really unhealthy for a lot of women. And I hope that I'm able to validate you and like make you feel like you are being seen and heard, and we're here. And I appreciate you ladies for joining, and please follow us on Healthy Bump Club on Instagram and YouTube, and we look forward to continue to provide you with resources and educational information to help your journey into motherhood be a successful and a positive one. Thank you.